Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I wanted to do a real quick video showing how to change the direction of a fridge door. So what I mean by that is I've got a pretty basic, simple 13.9 cubic foot Frigidaire fridge that I recently installed in my garage, and right now you'll notice that the hinge is on the right side of the fridge, meaning that if you open it like this, the door opens from the left to the right. What I would like to do is switch that so the doors open from the right to the left. So we're going to go over how to do that on this specific fridge today, but I imagine the procedure is very, very similar for a ton of different fridges, so hopefully this is helpful. So if that sounds fun, why don't we go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing to do with this door switch is to basically go get your manual and open it up to the door removal section. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but this is like a, what are we on here? 36 steps. I have no idea why it takes 36 steps to remove this door. I'm going to show you it's a lot quicker and easier than it looks in the manual. So first off, what we're going to do is actually I would recommend go and get yourself a couple of towels, lay them down on the floor, because what we're going to end up doing is in order to switch the side of the hinge, we're actually going to have to take both of these doors off, move some hardware around, and when we do that, you're going to want to be able to lay these doors down on the floor somewhere without getting them scratched. So again, that's what the towels are for. Okay, so once you've done that, the next thing you're going to want to do is come up to the top, and you can see currently right now the hinge is on the right side of the fridge. So again, what we're going to want to do is remove this. So the first thing is we've got to get rid of this plastic case or cover. This is pretty easy. You just kind of pull up from the back and push it forward, and there, off it comes. Okay, and then let's go ahead and grab a 5/16 socket and loosen these three screws here just a skosh. All right. All right, so there we go. So I think we've loosened all three of these. Once you've broken them loose, actually these ones are nice because they actually have a Phillips head on the top. So once you've broken them loose, you can actually go get a drill or whatnot and remove them quickly. Now, before you take all of them off, I would maybe go grab some help, because as soon as you take these screws off, this whole door might just fall off. So I'm gonna go grab some help, have someone help me hold the door while I remove these last two screws to get this entire bracket off. All right, so that bracket is off, and actually now this entire top bracket will actually just kind of come out. So let's go and take that out. Then I'm gonna kind of gently open the door 90 degrees, and then if you kind of lift this out, look at that, the whole top freezer door just pops off, and now we can go ahead and set this down gently on the towels we set up earlier. Okay, now let's move on to this this middle hinge. All right, so here's a little bit closer look at this center hinge, and you'll notice there's actually these Torx screws. There's actually three of them, and you might be tempted to try to just take those off right now, but you'll notice that it's actually really difficult to get to, especially these two. This bracket is actually in the way, so you can't get to these very easily, especially because this, this door is sitting in the way, right? You're not going to be able to do this. In fact, even if you open up the door, there's no real way that the door clears these Torx screws. So that's interesting, because you're not supposed to take that off yet. What you're actually going to do is we're going to take off this part right here. And this, if you notice on the top, is actually, it's a 5/16. So just grab your 5/16 wrench again and slide it on right there. And we're just going to unscrew. There we go. Okay, and again, now, whoops, I think it's a little tight. Let me go ahead and do this a little more. Look at that. This thing comes off. And again, you may want to grab a little bit of help before you take this completely off, because now after you take this out, the bottom drawer is going to come off. So let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead. I'll take this out. Then we're going to remove the entire fridge door and move it to sit on the towels next to the freezer door. Okay, so there it is. Comes right out, that little part. So again, let me do the same thing. I'll kind of open the door a little bit, 90 degrees, and then the whole fridge door will just kind of slide up, and we'll go ahead and gently lay it down on the towels next to the freezer door. Okay, so now with that door out of the way, we've got pretty clear access to these 3 Torx heads. So let's go ahead and do that. All you've got to do is go ahead and grab yourself a T20 Torx head, and let's go ahead and remove these 3 Torx screws. All right, that's the last of them, and yep, there we go. Hinge kind of just comes right off. Let's set this aside. We're gonna need them again in a second. All right, so now we're moving down to the bottom to these feet. So let's go ahead and get this plastic cover down here off. So these are pretty easy. Just kind of pull out to the side, and there you go. So the one on the right came off. The one on the left is not the same. They're not symmetrical, but this one comes off in a very similar fashion. Just kind of lift it up, and there you go. They come off. Okay. That was easy enough. Okay, so now on the right side, there's this door stopper slash bottom hinge, and again, just grab your Torx, your T20, and there's a single Torx head right here that we're just gonna unscrew and remove. All right, so there's that Torx head. Screw out. Now this door stopper, this plastic piece just lifts straight off, and there we go. That's it. Let's set him off to the side. Now this bottom door hinge pin, it's just like the one that was up top. Grab yourself a 5/16 and socket, and we're just going to unscrew this. There we go. Pop. Okay, there we go. So the bottom hinge pin came off. Now all we need to do is just install this on the left side. So we'll just move over to the left side, and in the exact same equivalent mirror image position, put them in, and then take your 5/16 and tighten them up. Okay, then once that's done, we're going to take the door stopper that you pulled off of the right side, and again, this is the orientation it was on the right side, so all we're going to do is literally flip it over 180 degrees and install it like such, and then grab your Torx T20 and tighten that in. All right, so I'm continuing with our theme of mirror image switching. We're going to take these bottom hinge covers, and again, just flip left and right piece. So put this guy on there, put this one on this side. Okay, and I think we're ready to go. All right, let's come back to the middle and turn our attention to these 3 little covers. So we're just gonna grab ourselves a putty knife, and we're gonna very gently and carefully see if we can work it out these little plugs, okay? So give me a second to work these out, and I'll be back in just a second. Well, you can see I was kind of a clumsy oaf, and I already broke one of them. This white one is totally busted, so I'm gonna have to go and get myself a pair of needle nose pliers, see if I can pull out this inner section. There we go. Okay, so I discovered a slightly better way to do this is actually to get 2 putty knives, so one on either side, and then you can kind of pull this out a little bit easier without hopefully breaking it. Because what you want to do is you want to take these plugs and now move over to the side on the right where we removed the door and reinsert the plugs. So if you're not a clumsy oaf like me, you will have all 3 of your plugs ready to rock. I think I'm just going to probably glue this one in like that. Okay, let's move on to the next step. All right, so now we're going to come back to the refrigerator door, right, the larger of the 2 doors. And if you notice, this is the top side of the refrigerator door. So there's this plug on one side. So let's go ahead and pull them out. So just grab a flathead screwdriver. There's already a little insert in the door where you can just slide it in and just pry up, and there. This little plug comes out very easily, so we'll hang on to this. Now you come over to the other side. Again, this is the right side of the door, and this is where that hinge pin went in. So again, same thing. You just kind of get a flathead screwdriver, put it in here and pry up. And again, that plug comes out very easily with a little bit of work. Now, again, just switch it, right? So take this plug from the left, from the right side, move it over to the left. Take the one that was on the left side, move it over to the right. There we go. And then I think what you're going to want to do is tap them down a little bit. So I've got myself a little wooden block and a hammer, and I'm just going to gently tap those guys down flush. Okay, there we go. So now let's go ahead and flip this door upside down and get to the bottom. here we are, and we can take some next steps with these bottom pieces. All right, so let's take a closer look at the bottom of this fridge door. So on this side, there's a plug, just like we saw in the last time, but there's also this part here where we're gonna have to grab ourselves a Phillips screwdriver and unscrew this screw first. So let's go ahead and take this part out. Okay, so we got the screw out. Okay, and once that's out, this piece will actually just pop right out. So let's hang on to this. We're going to need them in just a second. But again, in the meantime, what we're going to do with this plug is exactly the same thing. Get yourself a flathead screwdriver now and just pry it out. Okay, then flip it to the other side. Place it in its equivalent hole. Go get yourself your wood block and your hammer to just kind of tap it in again. Okay, that's set. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our part that was over on this side, and again, this little bracket, same thing, just flip it 180 degrees and reinstall on this side. Oh, come on. And you might have to work this one a little bit. The plastic may be a little bit warped because it's supposed to, there we go, there, now it goes in. Okay, and then just put the screw in, get your Phillips screwdriver, and screw this part down. All right, so let's grab the freezer door, and it's basically the exact same thing we saw earlier. So I'll come to the top of the freezer door, and just like we saw last time, there's this plug on one side that we're gonna need to take your flathead screwdriver and pry out the plug. And then on the other side, there is the place where the hinge went in. And then again, same thing, just get your flathead, pull it, pry it out, and then switch it. Move it to the other side. Take this empty plug, this blank plug, switch it to the other side. Get yourself a block of wood or a rubber mallet or something like that and tap them in. Okay, so the top of the freezer door is flipped. Let's go to the bottom of the freezer door, and again, it's last time. Door closer piece that just takes a Phillips screwdriver to remove the screw. Okay, and again, once this screw is out, this door closer piece will just kind of pop out. Again, I'll move, hold them off to the side for a second. Grab your Phillips screwdriver again and take this plug now on this side, and again, pry this out. And then flip it to the other side, put it in. And let me line this up a little bit better. There we go. Get your little wood block and a little hammer. I'm going to give this a little bit of a tap in just to seat it. Perfect. Then we're going to take the door closer piece. Again, flip it over 180 degrees. You may have to kind of work it into the hole a little bit. Then get the screw and screw it back in. All right, so again, coming back to this center hinge, we're going to take it from the right side, flip it 180 degrees, and using your Torx screws, we're going to now secure this into the left side of the fridge. I can't remember, I may have misspoken earlier. This is actually a T25. That's the size for these screws over here. So anyway, let's go ahead and keep doing this, and I'll be back in a second once I secure this hinge. Okay, now that that bracket is installed, let's go ahead and grab the refrigerator door, and coming over here, I'm going to open the refrigerator door 90 degrees, and I'm going to slide it onto the bottom pin. So again, you might have to use your fingers to try to find that hole that you used earlier. Okay, so there, that's lined up. Then I can kind of line it up with the bracket, and once it's lined up with the bracket, I'll go grab the pin that we removed earlier, and I'll go ahead and put this in and sort of finger tighten it. Okay, and then once that thing is finger tight, I will grab our 5/16 if I can find it. What did I do with my 5/16? Put it around here somewhere. I always have this problem. I find a tool and then oh, here it is. Okay, take your 5/16 and tighten this up. All right, so let's move to the top of the fridge. On top of the freezer on the left side, you'll see there's this plug. So again, get your putty knife, and again, I learned my lesson. I'm going to be very gentle prying this up. There we go. So we get this piece, this plug comes out, and again, we're just going to move it to the other side. where we had previously removed that top bracket, and I'll just plop them down. And maybe I'll just bang this a little bit to get it in. Okay, plug is set. All right, so now we're gonna go take our freezer door, move it up to the top. Again, open it up 90 degrees and then slide it onto the bottom pin first. There we go, okay. And now what we can do is we can get this top bracket that we took off earlier and place it up in the top bracket hole, and then this is the part where it gets a little interesting. You may want to, again, get some help, because we're going to need to take those 3 screws we removed earlier, which hold this top bracket down, and screw it into the top. So I'm going to go grab some help and get that done, and I'll be back in just a second. All right, so I was up here trying to screw this bracket in, and I just couldn't get these to screw in. They wouldn't catch. And I finally came up here and looked, and here's why. This is a big fat fail from Frigidaire. Here, yeah, that's funny. Listen to the alliteration. A big fat Frigidaire fail. These holes are not tapped. Let me see if I can, oh, come on, is this gonna focus on this or not? I don't know if you can see this, but they're smooth. I don't know what they did. They like drilled out the hole, but they forgot to tap it. These holes, they're not gonna work, right? So that's a big fail, especially if you, you know, like you're just a normal person and don't have a tap set. You're out of luck, because these holes, they're not gonna hold these screws that came from the other side. So yeah, that's a big F for Frigidaire. They screwed up right here big time by not tapping these holes. So, oh well. Luckily for me, I guess I've got a tap set, so I've gone ahead and figured out what size this is. It seems to match, so I'm gonna have to tap these holes myself to see if I can get this screw in. So give me a second to tap these holes, and we'll be back to see if that actually works. All right, so luckily I was able to tap that hole, all 3 of those holes up top, and get that bracket mounted. So again, I'm actually surprised. Shame on you, Frigidaire, for forgetting that and messing that up. But now that it's set, you can actually also adjust. If this door is not square, you can move this bracket. So if you haven't tightened down the top bracket all the way, you can see that this door can kind of move up and down, so you can rotate it. So again, I think you just want to make sure that it's in a good spot, namely it's lined up with the bottom and square, and once that's done, go ahead and tighten up these screws up top. All right, so here we go. The bracket is tight, so we're going to go grab that cover that we had and just put it on top and plop it down. There we go. All right, so I think we're done. So now the hinge should be on the left side, and let's test it out. Yep, look at that. The freezer opens up great. How about the fridge side? Yep, the fridge side opens up great. And yeah, there you go. This looks like it works. Okay. So there you have it, an easy way to take you, well, I guess, well, hold on, not so easy. If Frigidaire hadn't messed up and they had tapped that whole, the set of screws on the top, then it would have been easy and pretty straightforward. But in this case, it took a little bit of extra work, but overall it wasn't too bad. So with that being said, I think this is a good spot to leave it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. And if so, I also hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. Surprisingly, if you just scroll a little ways down and click on that subscribe button, it really does help me continue making these videos. And remember, the new videos come out every Monday, so I hope I'll catch you at one of these future discussions and we can all learn something new together. So until I talk to you again in the future, I think I'll sign off for now. Talk to you later. Bye.